Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Do please like and subscribe. It really helps, you know. And today, being Remembrance Sunday, I am going to do a song at the end of this. I'll ring the song dinger first, so all you are super sensitive, who can't stand the noise, you'll be able to escape. But Scott Bartram has requested I do the boss, Bruce Springsteen. I'll sing one of his songs, but tomorrow. Alright? But if you've got any requests, comments, insults, you name it, put it down there, and I will definitely do my very, very best to reply. I'm going to talk today about two horrible bastards who were in the Scrubs when I was at the Scrubs. Ian Brady, the Moors murderer, and Graham Young, the teacup poisoner. Yeah. Now, Ian Brady, whose notoriety is absolutely infamous throughout the world, murdered a series, I think it was 5 or 6 children. We're not exactly certain because he didn't say. But certainly he was convicted of murders, 5 murders, children, buried the bodies on Saddleworth Moor. Now, if you've ever been to Saddleworth and you go up on the moor, believe me, it's a very spooky place. I went there with my brother, and my brother was involved with Ian Brady and Myra Hindley when they were taken out of their prison cells back to the moors to try and identify where they'd buried Keith Bennett, because they never did discover Keith Bennett's body. That was a terrible thing that they did. They never disclosed that. And when they got Myra Hindley up there, it was on all the television news. It showed Myra Hindley on the moors, and the guy that she was handcuffed to was Detective Inspector Martin Sutton, my brother. You see him, he's about 6'4", and Myra Hindley's about 5'2". It'll still be up there on YouTube somewhere. Anyway, so Ian Brady and the teacup poisoner Graham Young were both located in the hospital wing at the Scrubs. Ian Brady had been located on D wing there, and he'd been injured on D wing. About four inmates on D wing grabbed him and poured boiling water over him, mainly on his body actually, because they ripped his clothes off and scalded him. And he was in the hospital wing being treated there, and Graham Young was in for psychiatric assessment pending removal to Broadmoor or a secure hospital. He actually ended up in Ashworth. I met him again there some years later. But anyway, Graham Young and Ian Brady formed a little team on the hospital unit at Wormwood Scrubs. Ian Brady was still offending. He was still attacking children, in this case young offenders, postal boys who were in the hospital unit being attended to for injuries or sickness, whatever it was. And whilst they were in there, Ian Brady would follow them into the toilets. When they went into a cubicle, he would kick the door in, and the watcher at the side would be Graham Young. Graham Young acted as a lookout for him whilst Ian Brady molested the young offenders in the toilets. I'll leave it to your imagination what he was up to, but from what Graham Young told me, and Graham Young did tell me this, not at the time, he told me when he was in Ashworth when I was seconded to the National Health Service, and Ashworth being a hospital for the criminally insane, whilst I was training to be a hospital officer. And he told me that this was numerous times that Ian Brady had done this, and one day Ian Brady picked on this postal boy who wasn't going to allow him to do this, and Brady got himself a battering in the toilets from this particular postal boy, who gave him a dusting, and of course the commotion alerted the staff, and they ran in, and after that Brady was removed from the hospital wing and taken to the segregation unit at the end of A wing at the Scrubs. And of course Graham Young, the teacup poisoner, he used to put poison into the tea urn, and killed 3 people with that, and caused the others to be seriously ill. The hairs were falling out, and they started to turn green, and he was mad, that bastard. But I met Graham Young, I think it was 1981, when I was seconded from Strangeways. I'd moved from the Scrubs to Strangeways by then, and Graham Young was in Ashworth Hospital, which is near Maghull, just outside Liverpool. Of course, I didn't know he was in there. I mean, I'd left the Scrubs and gone to Strangeways and then retrained as a hospital officer. So I went into Ashworth Hospital for the criminally insane. I was just walking through the wings, and who should come up to me but Graham Young. And he said, "Hello, Mr. Sutton, how are you doing?" He said, "You're looking well, you know." He remembered me, remembered my name, remembered my first name. Came up to me, shook my hand, and he was a strange-looking sight. But I mean, imagine that. I'd only met him a couple of times at the Scrubs. Yet he remembered my first name, and he remembered because some silly bastard who was on the staff at the Scrubs had persuaded me to have a cup of tea. "Have a cup of tea, John?" I said, "Yeah, all right." So this inmate brought me a cup of tea, and "Would you like a ginger biscuit?" "Yeah, very nice, yeah." So I had a ginger biscuit and a cup of tea, and the hospital officer who'd arranged all this said, "Do you know who that was?" I said, "It's just one of the inmates that you're using as a tea boy." He said, "No, that's Graham Young, the poisoner." "Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, give me a cup of tea from the guy who bloody murdered 3 of his workmates by poisoning them in their tea." Yeah, that was the kind of black humour that they had. It was permeated throughout the system. That's the way they operated in them days. I don't think they do that these days. Anyway, Graham Young came up to me in Ashworth Hospital, and he was dressed up like Hitler. He'd grown himself a little Hitler-type moustache. He took me to show me his unit, his little cell. He had Nazi flags in there. He had books on the Third Reich. He got a copy of Mein Kampf, and he was rattling on about the Third Reich and how brilliant Hitler was, and he was talking about the days he was on the wings and the landings at the Scrubs. He was quite mad though. Believe me, I saw him one night. He was howling and screaming, and the hospital staff went in and injected him, shut him up. You know. He kept singing when he was in a hyper thing. He kept singing, "Daisy, Daisy, give me your hands," all bloody night, at the top of his voice, till he got an arse full of Largactyl. Anyway, that was my encounter with Graham Young and Ian Brady. But Ian Brady was offending still. He was a horrible, dirty bastard. He was like a darkness around him, like a dark. You know, you see some people, you can sense they've got a really glowing, glittering, beautiful orange, yellow, purple aura. Not that bastard. Ian Brady's aura was black. It was murky, dirty black. Seriously. And he was cold. All around him was. It sent a shiver down your spine. Anyway, so that was my encounter with Graham Young and Ian Brady at the Scrubs. Many more stories about that. We'll tell them. In my book, there's an account of this. That's the song dinger, folks. So head for the hills. If you're sensitive, head for the hills. And this is being Remembrance Sunday. I'm going to sing a song now. Originally by Buffet Saint-Marie. It's Universal Soldier. And it's quite right. I mean, if they threw a war and you didn't go, what would they do? Yeah, what would they do? But we do go, don't we? We're fighting for our country, that's what they say. This is Universal Soldier. He's 5'2" and he's 6'4". He fights with missiles and with spears. He's all of 31 and he's only 17. Been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist, a Baptist and a Jew. And he knows he shouldn't kill, and he knows he always will. Kill for me, my friend, and me for you. And he's fighting for Canada. He's fighting for France. He's fighting for the USA. And he's fighting for the Russians, and he's fighting for Japan. And he thinks we'll put an end to war this way. And he's fighting for democracy. He's fighting for the Reds. He says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die. And he never sees the writing on the wall. But without him, how would Hitler have condemned him at the dance? Without him, Caesar would have stood alone. He's the one who gives his body as a weapon to the war. And without him, all this killing can't go on. He's the universal soldier, and he really is to blame. His orders come afar away, no more. They come from him and you and me. And brothers, can't you see? This is not the way we put an end to war. They are The Universal Soldier by Buffet Sainte-Marie. No, that was written by Buffet Sainte-Marie and destroyed by me. And the Universal Song Killer, Tales from the Jails.